Gang Hang. Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. How we doing?
Good.
It's been a month. We haven't talked for a while.
Yeah.
We got some catching up to do. My name's Matt Baum. Across from me is kind of a sick Joe Patrick. Say hi, Joe.
Hey, I'm the internet's Joe Patrick, regardless of my physical state.
Yeah. This is want people to like listen and be like, your dulcet baritones aren't the norm today. They're a little.
When Matt asked me how I sounded earlier, I described it as husky.
Ooh. Yeah.
Husky.
Which I didn't understand. So I was like, you mean like Louis Armstrong? Like Satchmo? Like,
Ask me again later tonight, I'll sound more like Louis Armstrong. Right now, I sound a little bit more like myself.
Fair enough.
Sultry.
It is the Gang Hang. We get together. We talk with the listeners that hang out on our Discord. They're all super pleasant. This is a positive place where, we criticize, but we don't get gnarly or nasty. We save that for the internet. Save that for X.
The only one who gets mean about it is Matt Baum.
That's not true. But there's plenty to talk about. Right before we started recording, JD brought up that Warren Ellis has a podcast, a fiction podcast. Tell me about this.
So it's called The Department of Midnight. It's through the same production company as Castlevania.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of the same voice actors. It's also got a pretty heavy-hitting cast. Some people we haven't heard from in a while. One of the people in the first episode is Alicia. As Brian alluded, it's kind of a stock Warren Ellis type story. It's a shady department. What is it? The Department of Research Oversight is what the official title is, but everyone calls it the Department of Midnight because their logo has the Doomsday Clock on it. And
because DRO doesn't really spell anything cool.
Right. And it's basically, to me, it feels like he's using what could have been unused injection scripts.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
It's, he's running around kind of dealing with science, weird science gone awry. There's the first episode's called The Cold Spot, and Alicia Witt plays a scientist who has found a cold spot in the galaxy that is 23,000 degrees minus Kelvin colder than everything around it. And they think it's a barrier into another dimension, and she's found a way to bring it to Earth and stuff like that.
Odd for Warren Ellis. Sounds like a real departure for Warren Ellis, the creepy science things. Not something he usually touches on,
Right. But to hear it in audio drama version, it's actually really cool. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great that he's got a production company and he's got a group that's working with him and that has him out there. They're not shying away from Warren Ellis.
Sure.
They announce every episode as created and written by Warren Ellis.
Okay.
They're out in front, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great little departure. It's free. It's out wherever you get
Fair
podcasts.
Enough. I'll check it out. And this is neither in
production company.
This is neither in defense of nor going at dude, but I will say he did go out of. It seems like he went out of his way to be like, yeah, I screwed up. I apologize. I've tried to make good and whatnot. So that's a lot more than a lot of people have done.
Depends on who you ask.
I don't know if it's acceptable, but he did. He did do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are kind of the people that they weren't looking for cancellation. It was more like redemption kind of thing.
Right.
And some of them would say that he has not done sufficient steps, but
fair. I haven't followed it totally. I just it was nice to see someone not just be the whole world's against me, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have talked to someone who knows Warren and who has talked to him since. When I was at Ocon, I talked to Phil Hester about him. And he, Phil has been pretty active in reaching out to Warren and saying, hey, you need to get back out there. Do you want to do something? Phil straight up reached out to Warren and said, do you want to work together? Do you want to do something? And Warren actually was the one who pushed back and said, no, I'm still trying to, work on myself
Fair.
and get this stuff under control.
Fair enough.
And work on,
and that's good. Like that's good. You know, again, I don't want to devote the show to this, but
right.
it's one thing for a guy like
we got some Rings of Power shit we got to talk about. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I don't know. I haven't watched that. I didn't even watch the last 2 episodes of season 1. It's one thing for dudes to say, "Oh, sorry," like Brian Wood or whomever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's another thing to actually show that you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And you know, like if that's true, if that's what he's doing, like there should, I feel that there should be a path to redemption for people that haven't committed heinous crimes.
Yeah, and like
You know?
like the way Louis C.K. handled it, which is I'm gonna ignore it and just keep doing my thing. Like that's
I'm not Louis Armstrong.
That's not helpful.
Stop
either.
calling me Louis Armstrong.
If Louis C.K. wants to do that, he can. I don't think it shows a lot of effort personally, but whatever, you know.
No, Louis C.K. is a garbage human being, and
so-
he has not shown any remorse. But
all right, enough of that.
But Department of Midnight,
Okay.
definitely a cool thing. It's it's not breaking any new ground as far as Warren's storytelling, but it's definitely a new medium. And if you're into that kind of thing, it's a really great. And the thing I also like is the episodes are short. They've got kind of a Twilight Zone thing to them, and the fact that each episode is a new thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Okay.
I would highly suggest it.
I'm sort of with Brian on this one, where I have trouble with some fiction podcasts, but I have heard some that I really liked. I remember the Wolverine podcast they did. There was like 2 of them.
Yeah, that was fun.
yeah,
Those were fun. I did like those. And maybe it's because it was like Wolverine and I could theater of the mind it better. I don't know. But I did like them. They were fun.
because you have you have a frame of reference for Wolverine.
Right.
With characters that then you can get into that. All right, so let's do Rings of Power and get that over with. Because
first of all,
I don't give a shit about it.
Yeah, like let's try and keep it relatively spoiler free for the latest episode. But I mean, there's a few episodes that are out already. I don't know who all's watching or not.
Mosaic fan art just got back from Italy, and he's just like casually reading the Silmarillion on vacation, like some light beach reading.
Let's real quick touch on the Silmarillion, because last night I'm out to dinner with my family.
Silmarillion.
My brother, thank you, Silmarillion.
Thanks, nerd.
My brother's wife is like kind of a nerd for this stuff and likes to show it. My brother doesn't care at all. So she talks to me about it. And she's like, I've never read the book. Have you read the book? I really want to read the book. And I was like, well, it's kind of barely a book. Because it kind of is. It's more like a series of appendixes almost. And like songs and poems. And like it's weird. And so there's some people bitching about timelines.
This is the Lord of the Rings universe.
Well, yeah, but it's not like
edition.
It's not like a story for like the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit. It's a separate thing.
It's not a narrative. It's like a companion book or like a who's who kind of thing.
It's like an inside baseball for baseball type thing, right? And some people are bitching about timeline. And I don't know enough about the Lord of the Rings timeline, like the deep history and stuff, to be like, well, no, that is correct and that is not. But I will say, so far, second season, I'm 3 episodes in, right? I feel way better. The pacing is better. The speed is better. The storytelling is a little more focused on, and maybe it's because it's following, like, okay, this is the bad guy's journey and stuff like that. But season 1, I'm not saying it was terrible, but I will say, got awfully goddamn boring at points. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, I was bored with it.
Everybody's speaking so softly.
That's why I didn't finish.
I think I'll just fall asleep. Frank, you were talking about this a minute ago.
Oh yeah. So I watched the first half of the first episode.
Okay.
Then just kids and stuff get in the way. But there is this beginning of Sauron. And he gets, I mean, I don't know. I don't want, it's not spoilers. It's like the first 10 minutes of it's not even the first, it's not even the show. It's just the preamble to the show.
Yeah. Spoilers. He goes on to run a mountain and become a giant flaming eye and cause some problems. So,
but he gets killed. He gets killed. His essence, his blood just drips into, and it was the creepiest thing I've ever seen to watch him come back to life. It is a really, really horrific sequence.
It was some very Hellraiser shit, right? It was like Uncle Frank, like level scary stuff.
Yeah.
Gross.
It was.
Yeah,
it was gnarly. It was cool.
Was there any like sex punishments?
No, not yet. Well, I mean, we haven't gotten there yet.
I mean,
so.
not yet. It's a prequel. So
We're hoping. Fingers crossed. Come on, give me those sex punishments.
I wanted to say before we get too far away from it about fictional podcasts. There's a podcast called Bubble. If you've never heard it, it's great.
I've heard of Bubble. I've heard of Bubble. Yeah,
it's fun. It's this sci-fi. It's like this comedy sci-fi weird mutants comic booky, story, and it's a lot of fun. And I found myself really missing it once it was done because it's over. It was a short. Short
isn't that a Maximum Fun podcast?
I think it might be. Yeah.
Because I remember them. I remember them advertising.
Yeah,
I like Maximum Fun.
Maximum Fun's cool. Yeah, they do good stuff. Yeah. I don't know no Bubble. Though. I'll check it out. I will check it out.
Check out Bubble. Fun. Anyway, back to Lord of the Rings. I have a feeling that other wizard that is not Gandalf.
If it's not, look.
It's Saruman.
Confirmed. It is a Maximum Fun podcast.
Is it Saruman? Is that who it is? Because they
Saruman.
That's sure.
No, I don't think.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, dude.
Saruman.
I don't think so.
Jim, speak your mind, Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Saruman gets corrupted later. He doesn't come down to Earth or Middle Earth. He's like, I'm an asshole already. No. He gets corrupted. No, I don't think so.
I'm talking about the other wizard. I'm not talking about the guy that's Sauron.
You're talking about the guy that fell to Earth with the Hobbit, right? Yeah. The Hobbit. Yeah. That's got to be Gandalf, dude. It's got to be.
I don't know. There was something in it that kind of like I felt like it was Saruman because there's that bit with the dream, and I'm watching those sequences with the dream. I watched it like 3 times, and I'm going, this seems more like. He seems more like Saruman than he does Gandalf, but I don't know. I mean, listen, I've been wrong.
Okay, look, if so, I'll say
that would be
Jim. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was say if it is Saruman, like the wizard that we've been following is Saruman, that would be really interesting, and I would be 100% on board because that is Saruman's role,
right,
in the books is to counter Sauron when he returns. So that would make kind of sense. Yeah, and I'd be on board with that.
But
this season's a lot better. But,
I will say, and I'm with you, Jim. I absolutely agree. That said, they have given us so many little context clues to be like, like how
can he loves pipe weed?
How can it not be?
I know.
And if it's not, it's definitely a bait and switch, which is weird.
That's my problem with prequels is that everybody is so convinced that every character is somebody.
Right.
Every mystery character's got to be somebody.
Well, this character has to be somebody, Joe, based on the story they're telling.
I mean, I get it.
This isn't Star Wars where a droid shows up and you're like, oh, is that Fort 4? I don't know.
Yeah. No. I mean, and I get that. It's just like at a certain point, like just let it wash over you.
Right.
Settle down and let them tell the story.
So, I don't know. We'll find out. Rings of Power. It seems a little better this season.
Have we been bombadilled yet? Have you guys been bombadilled yet?
Maybe in the last episode.
Yeah, we think so.
Recently.
From what?
No, it's not. It's not a we think so.
It is. They reveal it for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I have not. I'm behind, so I got.
B.
I got one. I got to catch up on. So
I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean that character is really mysterious and very passive anyway. Yeah, so
whatever.
Like no one really knows who or what he is anyway. So it's fine.
Right.
All right. So Rings of Power, Amazon Prime Video. What are we calling it now? Is it called Prime Video?
Sure, it's Prime Video. Who cares?
I mean, you can see the only thing I'll add is that production value. That money does not go to waste. That show is amazing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like the most expensive television show ever produced.
Yeah. They're spending some cash on it. We also
they're spending Avatar. They're spending Avatar. James Cameron Avatar money on that shit.
We've also got The Penguin coming up next week. So.
Oh, yeah. Next week? Oh, shit.
September 19th is going to drop, and they've been like dropping all manner of set photos and stuff, and it looks outstanding. It looks like it's going to be absolutely great.
I'm looking forward to it.
Something else comes out real quick, and I can't remember what.
It did lead to James Gunn saying a thing, and I believe it was Taverdic posted this on our Discord where someone was like, with the Penguin coming and this other Batman story, is that difficult for you to fit in, stuff into your universe, whatever? And he was just kind of like, I think they're all different stories by all different artists with styles. And a lot of us went, what?
I mean, he's already answered that question. The Batman is in Elseworlds.
Right.
Yeah,
he said the Batman universe is in Elseworlds
when they took over.
Yeah, it's not part of it's
for
not
sure.
part of phase
but
one
then
or
he said
whatever.
that about his
Raimi gave
stories too.
Its own name. They said it's the Batman crime universe. I mean, they announced that.
I agree, but the way he answered the question made it sound like all the movies I'm going to make will also be like all different artists and all whatever, and they may or may not be.
He wants the directors to have their vision.
He wants the directors to have their vision.
He's making a unified universe, but in the same way the MCU has tones based on the creators involved. Like the Ant-Man movies don't necessarily feel like the Shang-Chi movie. You know what? Marvel has come right out and said Shang, so fuck that Shang bullshit.
Yeah.
I feel vindicated.
But I do think Marvel's trying to like, okay, we're doing the work. The white guy said Shang, sorry.
Right. It is Agatha. Agatha All Along comes out, I think, very soon.
It's real.
I'm actually very curious about that too, but that's another topic.
Yeah, it comes out like Monday or Tuesday.
It's this week, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
September 18th.
Yeah, but the segue. Yeah, that's right, actually. Did you hear the segue about, speaking of which, with Lanterns, about the casting news?
No.
Oh, so apparently Hal Jordan, the role has been offered to James Brolin.
Dave Brolin?
Thanos. Josh Brolin.
I was going to say Dave Brolin.
What?
Oh, Josh Brolin.
I was like, is there a Brolin I don't know about?
I didn't hear either name. So it took me a second.
Thanos is going to play.
Hal Jordan.
I don't know about. You know what? I don't know about that.
I like Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin's an outstanding actor. Josh Brolin's also an old guy. Josh Brolin's pretty old.
I want to say. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was context. So apparently James Gunn is going for more of a grizzled version of Hal.
Okay.
Remember, it's supposed to be like True Detective type of style.
Like a cop procedural. Like yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And John Stewart's supposed to be a little younger than him.
He's getting too old for this shit.
Exactly. So who knows? But
and that's fair. If that's what they're doing, that's fair.
Yeah. So he's definitely leaning into that, like, kind of like, well, we're going to go different.
And I also, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that might know, but I don't necessarily think that Lanterns is part of the whole gods and monsters thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's hard to. Yeah, I don't know if that's ever.
I don't know,
because we're getting a traditional Guy Gardner. We're not getting some grizzled detective version of Guy Gardner. We're getting a real Guy Gardner doofus in a costume.
I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna have a really hard time picturing Josh Brolin as Hal Jordan when we all, of course, know him as Jonah Hex.
True. He was a darn good one too. Even that movie sucked, but
it has Josh Brolin. So Josh Brolin has surpassed Ryan Reynolds as the actor that has played the most individual comic book characters on screen.
Yep.
Good for him. And I like
he was
Brolin.
Jonah Hex, he was Thanos, he was Cable, and now he's potentially Hal Jordan. Ryan Reynolds was Johnny, obviously. Not Ryan Reynolds, I'm sorry. Chris Evans was Johnny. He was Cap. He was the guy from The Losers. And then wasn't there one more comic book adjacent movie? Scott Pilgrim.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might be thinking of Push, but that wasn't based on a comic.
Yeah.
Yes, Push. Who could forget Push?
Push wasn't bad. It was kind of fun.
I have the Criterion collection of Push.
Yeah, Push was.
They made a Criterion edition of Push.
It's because it was a good movie, Joe. Push was a good movie.
Don't you lie to me.
No one's lying to you. It was a good movie.
Nobody thinks that Push is a good movie.
Someone back me up here, please.
I do.
Thank you.
Push was okay.
Push was fun.
it was entertaining.
Yeah.
It didn't blow my brains, but it was
It was
fine.
better than like
To be fair, I have not seen it.
Hey, they're blowing up the chat too, telling you that you're a grumpy old man. Knock it off. Who's being terrible?
Well,
now, Joe?
I'm sick. Okay, I'm
Who's
allowed
being
to be
terrible now. I don't know. Like, I like Brolin, and it's a good name to bring to the show. Do we know for sure that the stuff that's happening on Max, like, because Lanterns is TV, do we know that any of the TV is connected to the Gods and Monsters thing?
That's what I just said. Like, I don't think Lanterns.
Because wasn't Creature Commandos?
So the only one potentially, just based off what James Gunn said, is Creature Commandos.
Right.
Maybe?
They said that, definitely.
Creature Commandos is in continuity. It's in fact the first.
Right.
He said that boy, try to find Push on Rotten Tomatoes, and you cannot.
You're thinking of Push by Sapphire. That's what you're thinking.
Precious,
that's a different
based on the
one. That's a
novel
different
Push
one.
by Sapphire.
Yeah.
James Gunn said that Creature Commandos was the first project, but it was animated. And then it's going to kind of lead into Superman, which is the first live action.
Right.
And then that will be the first film, but the other one's a TV. And then because I think
Rick Flag is going to move on to Peacemaker season 2.
Yeah, right. So he's all
and that's December.
I think Lanterns is part of the whole thing because Tom King is writing Lanterns.
Right. So maybe it's just
that's true.
It could be set like in the future too. That's the other thing. You could just say, yeah, this is 20 years from now, Hal Jordan.
Or you could just say it's an Elseworlds. Don't worry about it.
When I was first exposed to Hal in 1990, whatever, he had gray sideburns.
That's true.
You know, his hair. He was an old dude when I think a lot of people knew him, and then he went away, thank God, and then he came back, and it's been boring Hal Jordan ever since. But
hey, now there's been some fun Hal stuff.
there's one. I don't know if you've heard the good Hal Jordan story. He gets a job as a pilot, and then he flirts with his boss, and then he gets fired, and then he gets a job as a pilot.
This is similar to all of them. Yes. Okay.
Well, hold on. You're forgetting the very brief time when he was a toy salesman.
Oh, but
in the 70s.
Did he flirt with his boss when he was a toy salesman?
Probably,
then, probably. And then get fired and then become a pilot.
He doesn't learn. Yeah. He's a real HR problem.
For the record, Push has a 23% tomato meter rating with a 42% viewer.
Nobody
score,
cares.
So.
Nobody cares. It's a good.
You're vindicated, Joe. You're correct, and we're all wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Like, look.
No, you
embrace it, guys. Embrace it.
Welcome to the Joe Makes Taste Cast. All right, so this is how we work here. So
do make taste, Matt. I've been a taste maker for 14 years.
Yeah, but you love
all these people are here.
But you love everything until you don't like one thing that you've never seen. You know, like that's all I'm saying. So anyway,
I don't like any of the things that you like.
Lanterns.
There, I said it.
Lanterns. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried about that. And you're absolutely right. In the 90s, when they were trying to usher out Hal and bring in Kyle, he had gray hair. He was an older dude. He'd been doing this for a while, you know? So, I mean, maybe you set it up like that. And I don't need Hal to be the star of Green Lanterns if he is going to be an old guy. I'd be fine with a younger one. That Kyle, yeah, give it to me. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, it's Jon Stewart is going to be kind of the lead.
I'm fine with Jon Stewart, too. I love Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'll be dealing with that. And you know something? It would be interesting to, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but if it was like around that period and then they basically said, oh, he did some really horrendous things, and then they flash back to like his parallax thing, like him losing control and then,
yeah.
And then, so.
That could be wild. And then like that time where when he was the vengeance of God for a while, you know, like they could go into that for a little bit where he became the Spectre.
The Spectre, yeah. Maybe this is how. Maybe this is Hal after he was the Spectre and now he's back to life.
There you go.
Like, you guys,
there you go, Brian Domingos. Shit. There's your original Hal story. He turned into the Spectre, Brian.
And so now he's like Rust Cole, right? Where he's seen the shape of he's seen the cruel arc of the universe. And he's just like,
that would be the best Hal Jordan story they've ever done. So let's do it.
That would be interesting.
Yep.
If he's a test pilot in the movie, or in the show, I'm going to groan with displeasure, you know.
So for everybody asking, yes, Nathan Fillion does have a stupid haircut. We've seen set photos.
Bowl cut, baby.
It is a bowl, like it is. It's the sort of comic book accurate that you're like, oh, this probably doesn't work in real life.
Well, but I think there's a fun joke there, you know, like, and that's the thing, right? Like. Guy's a dork, and he had a terrible haircut, and he thought he was the coolest thing in the world, you know, and there's no better way to show that than with a really dumb haircut on a guy that thinks he's kick-ass, you know. Look at Eric Trump. That guy thinks he's rad. His hair is gross, you know.
Yeah,
it's all that sort of, you know, guy who wants respect, like, you know, the paramilitary mall cop kind of thing. You know, like I'm not in the military, but I have a military haircut. It's like, yeah, but you work at the mall.
I think canonically he has that haircut because he was obsessed with a comic book character or a Golden Age character, a fake Golden Age character called General Glory, and he was patterning himself after General Glory's sidekick, and that's why he's got that stupid haircut.
Yeah, that's an AI picture I just dropped in there, and like, you know, goddamn you AI. But I'll tell you what, I kind of love that. It's so bad.
Lord Fauntleroy.
It's so bad. I kind of love it.
He looks like Martin Short as Clifford.
Yes.
That's a good look.
Yes.
Oh God. That's
Or that
wow.
Troubled Child. What was it? Troubled Child, that movie with the
Problem Child.
Problem Child. There you go.
I think they made 4 of those, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
there was a whole Problem Child universe and everything. AC/DC kept getting checks for it. Yeah, good for them. So Agatha All Along also comes out this week. And I'm not going to say anything. Honest opinions. Are we excited?
I'm curious. I think it looks good.
I'm very curious.
Okay. All right.
Excited.
I think it looks like fun because it is, for all intents and purposes, it's fairly low stakes. I think it has the potential to be a surprise hit in the way that the Werewolf by Night Halloween special was. And the fact that we just don't know what to expect, and we're just going to go in and get a fun, kind of quirky magic comedy or magic story. Maybe not even comedy, but it's gonna, there'll probably be some fun Easter eggs for, old school Marvel fans and Marvel heads. But I think for the most part, I think it's just going to be just watching Catherine Hahn eat up the screen for, however many episodes, and it's just going to be a good time.
I love Han, and I agree. If they go that direction, great. That's all I need, and please do that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this.
I'm nervous.
As someone who is excited, they've been teasing some stuff, like even in the trailers, if you've noticed.
Such as?
So Wanda Maximoff is kind of like very much like in the background. Not in the background like she's going to show up. Well, she might actually. But she is like all over this right now in terms of like her current, situation in the MCU.
Right.
And the guy, I forgot the name of the actor. Doesn't
Locke?
have a name. Yeah.
Well, right now he's cast as Teen right now.
Right. But I think
Billy
Kaplan.
Us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go that route. And the one thing about the plot is that all of them, Agatha assembles all these witches to walk the witch's road because she wants her powers back. Kind of selfish thing.
Yeah,
sure.
But ultimately, it's about getting back. All of them want to get to the end of the road because apparently they all get their, it's like their one wish essentially. My take is that Billy Kaplan is going to try to bring back Scarlet Witch, his mom.
Yeah. And
then that might lead into some things.
Yeah.
Marvel has said that there will be, like, Agatha will appear beyond this show. So we will see that character again. And so whatever happens in this show, it's not just like, here's a little something for all you people that really loved that song that we gave you in WandaVision.
Right.
Here's an action like this character. This character has a future in the MCU.
Fair enough.
I haven't looked at the casting list or the character list yet, so for any spoilers, but so I may be completely wrong. But considering the fact that they're going on the Witch's Way, which sounds an awful lot like the Marvel version of the Winding Path or the Winding Way, I'm really hoping that we get characters that are either directly named or allegories to like Margali Sardos or Amanda Sefton.
Oh, don't even. Matt can't handle Amanda Sefton being in the Marvel universe.
I would. I mean, I think.
Wait, Matt, what's your problem with Amanda Sefton?
She dated her brother.
She did. She dated her own damn brother.
Yeah, she's a kooky wizard. These things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like someone didn't, like someone
her adopted brother,
like someone didn't tell, like
even legally adopted.
Yeah, someone didn't tell the creators, like
that works.
Now, to be fair, there's a whole genre of internet porn about this, so I don't know, but like, like Marvel did it too. So. No,
I mean, but you're right, JD. I think we need more magic users in the MCU. I mean, I know that we've got Wong and that army of trainees that showed up at the end of Endgame and that live at Camera, but we need like more named magic users in the MCU.
Also, we need different magic. I don't want it all to be Doctor Strange hand kung fu magic. You know, like we need different magic. Too.
Yeah.
So I like the idea.
All be
like,
the Marvel circle.
Right. I don't want that, and I don't want to like. Well, they have an evil circle. No, we're getting too close to too many lantern colors and Green Lantern. You know, like
no. Like everything she did was way different.
Yeah. Definitely, and I think we should. I would like to see that go a little further, and I like the idea of like there's black magic, and there's like this science-based sort of kung fu magic or whatever, and then maybe there can be like a whole nother level of straight up white magic above that. I don't know, and that's where you could get a character like Sefton, for example, or even like Captain Britain shit, right? Like fairy magic and shit like that. So. But
the interesting thing for me here is that with Doom coming in, there's this. I think we talked about this a gang hang or two back, but it's science it's science and magic kind of meeting with Doom, and I think it's exciting that they're building up this magic end of the Marvel universe, because again, like that's ultimately what I'd like to see is some sort of like, well, how do we bridge the gap between magic and science to defeat this enemy or whatever?
Yeah.
I think it's a good use of like Wanda and Strange and all of those characters.
Yeah.
Good answer there could be that series Gods that Jonathan Hickman did with the natural order of things and the powers that be. And that character Wynn was a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, I loved Wynn. I actually really loved that series. I thought that was one of the best things that's come out in a while.
I read.
Agreed.
I have to admit, I need to sit down and read it.
I read issue 1 and 2.
I'm not
and
sure
I was
why, but for some reason, I kind of had a hard time getting into it. But
yeah,
that was a series that was so dense that it seemed like a lot of reviewers complained month over month. Like, I don't remember all this stuff. If you went back and reread, if you reread the previous issue before you picked up the new one, it was like, oh, this is great, and there are little Easter eggs from the last one and this one.
Yeah,
good. Well, and his Shield was like that, and then but with the added hurdle that it never came out.
Well,
at least Gods came out with regularity.
Gods came out regularly. Yeah, Shield, like the second to last issue, took like 13 months to come out. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think anybody actually expected the finale of Shield to ever come out.
Right. But if you read Gods in one chunk, it's a blast. And Wynn is such an interesting character because at one hand, it's like, on
is he
paper,
the guy with the goatee?
Like, yeah. And on his paper, he's like, what do we need him for? He's like he's like a Doctor Strange from Temu. But
we have Doctor Strange at home.
Yeah. And it's like, but no, he's definitely this other thing that is like, he's almost a cross between Marvel's version of like Dr. Fate meets John Constantine. He's a whole different thing. He's got that kind of almost Warren Ellis character vibe, because he's a bastard and he's seen too much and he's done too much, but he's always going to be working for the betterment of everything, even at his own detriment. But
he was like a bad diplomat
at the same time.
He's like a bad diplomat,
really cool.
basically. Like his job is to do your job and get along with this other side, but like he wasn't great at it and fell in love with someone from the other side, and she got in big trouble for it. And he's an interesting character. I didn't have a problem with that. I think it was just very dense, and I think there was a lot of stuff I was reading at the time. And by the time I finished issue 2,
same. I think that. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I think that you and I are kind of in a special situation where like we were trying to read so many different things for the show.
Right.
That whenever I tried to go back to read Gods, like I couldn't.
I also I have
like
this
my brain
exercise
wouldn't let me.
When I'm not necessarily reviewing, but when I come back to a book that I have reviewed or something later, I have this exercise I do where I say, okay, can I explain to somebody why I enjoy this in a paragraph or less? And if not, don't worry about it. And Gods, I was like, how would I explain even what's even going on?
I mean, if you're going back to a comic that you reviewed, it's because you liked it. And so, yes, you can, because you've already written a review.
No, but what I'm saying is, and I'll reword it, sorry. If I'm reading several issues of this and I'm into it, should you get involved into this series? I'm not talking about reading my review. I'm talking about what's going on in the series.
Gods, here's why you should commit to it.
Right. Yeah. Gods, I don't Like I reviewed the first issue and went, this is very pretty. I'm not really sure what's going on yet. I look forward to more. And then I read the second issue and went, I guess I'm going to put this down for a while. So maybe I need to revisit it.
Can we real quick pause for a technical question? Do I sound okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll tell you if
Does
you don't.
Matt sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone else sounds fine for me, but for some reason, Matt is like super broken up on my end. Which, if it's just for me, it's fine. I already closed and reopened Discord, and it's still happening. So, as long as everybody's cool, I'm cool.
Okay.
But I just wanted to double check that there wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
But-
okay. I think.
Yeah, I think gods. I think honestly, because I agree. I tried to. I feel like I was rewarded for muscling through it because I agree it was frustrating. It was even extra frustrating trying to read it at the lake house because they kept releasing issues ahead of schedule in the Infinite Comics format.
Oh,
so I would open a comic, go, oh, cool, the next issue of Gods is out, and I'd open it and it's vertical scroll, and I'd like, fuck this, and I'd close it and I have to wait a week. And it was just pissing me off, and so I almost gave up on it, and then so I finally waited until it all came out, and then I binge read it, and I really think there are just certain authors that it's like, I think they release them monthly just because that's the momentum of the publishing schedule for the big two, but. Sure. I really think Gods would have been a really great OGN.
Yeah.
Just drop it.
Yeah, and that's just it. As I was thinking about that the other day.
Chapters.
Marvel has tried multiple times to be in the graphic novel business. They had a whole series called Marvel Graphic Novel in the 80s.
Yeah. Most famously.
And that's where we got things like God Loves, Man Kills and The Death of Captain Marvel. And then they tried it again earlier in the 2000s where they did those lines of smallish hardbacks like the were they called Chapter 1?
Chapter 1?
Or were they one?
Those kind of
it was something like that.
Not necessarily in continuity, but like here's an origin story. I think they were called Chapter 1. But then they also did things like The Rage of Ultron, the Rick Remender book.
Oh yeah.
And they did the Spider-Man spy book where they introduced his sister.
Yes. I forgot
which they brought into continuity and was super confusing for anyone that didn't read that graphic novel.
Oh yeah. The Shield girl.
Yeah, and like I wish that they could. Like I wish that there was enough of an audience to do stuff like that because I agree with you. I think something like Shield or Gods is better served coming out as one epic story.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they wrote 256, to 300 page black and white phone book manga editions of it and put it out in Asia first to show it can sell there, then they can try and ship it back over here and see if it'll work. Who knows?
Because I'll be honest, one of the things that I find most appealing about Gods is the fact that you can palette swap all of the Marvel characters in that book, and for the most part, it still reads just fine as a non-Marvel comic.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Like you could take out Eternity and replace it with a different entity or whatever.
You could take out Doctor Strange.
Yeah, you could take out.
I forgot that he's actually in it.
You could do this in an image and just be like, these are a group of superheroes, and this is how the world works.
Yeah. This is how the magic and science.
Yeah.
Like entities exist in a world with superheroes or with just power beings or anything like that. That's what I find most appealing about it personally, is that it does it works just as a good story.
So take
JD, that's funny though, because one of the things I loved about it was going back to characters we don't see much in a cosmic sense, like the In-Betweener, like the Living Tribunal. I hate how it was depicted, but the same, it was like, I love it.
I'm honestly not saying that's a detriment. I'm just saying you could go either way. Like it's definitely an added bonus seeing those Marvel characters, and it's fun if you know. But if you're not a big Marvel head, you could actually. I would give this to new readers, to be perfectly honest.
Fair.
It certainly is a good selling point, or it's something in the book's favor that you can say, hey, look. Yes, this is a Marvel book, but these characters could be any analog.
Sure.
Yeah.
and the
It's just
story
a great
still
part.
works.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to know everything about Doctor Strange. You don't need to know who the in-betweener is.
So
this book
yeah,
tells
just-
you everything you need
just
to
to
know.
take this
It's
back
a
to
big,
Agatha.
heady urban fantasy story.
Just to take this back to Agatha, I hear what you're saying. I don't think they have the stones to expand the Marvel Magic universe that much. like, I have a feeling they're going to stick very close to movie stuff. Brian, you were going to say something.
I completely agree, and I think I think JD is right that would be very cool. But
it would be awesome.
We have not seen any effort to do that, like, at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did What If, and did like the most half-assed What If stories based on the same 25 characters.
Right. And even think about the Doctor Strange stuff that we've got.
They could have done anything. They could have had Ghost Rider. They could have really animated anything and introduced them and do like the Creature Commando thing. Like, this guy's going to do a Blade What If.
Right.
At least you're actually using that guy who's under contract, but instead
that is the biggest shame of the What If.
They played it way too safe.
They didn't use it to introduce new characters.
They played it way too safe.
Except for that one who's making the jump
for the first time. Yeah.
Which one?
Well, I think Harvey and I kind of
Agent Carter. Is that what you're talking
what
about?
they meant by that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that they're continuing the story for the first time from the MCU in comic book form.
Brian,
check it out in quarter bins later this year.
Yeah. Brian, I totally agree. I don't think they're taking any chances.
Mosaic fan art makes the most important point of all is that we need to get Agatha to a point where she can become Franklin's nanny in the MCU.
Well, we got to start first. If we're going to get there, we got to start in Atlantis, like where the story begins. So let's do this right. Episode 1 of Agatha All Along should open in Atlantis. If it does,
oh my God,
I will squeal like a pig.
I feel like there's a division of Disney that didn't know that Agatha was still coming, because they threw the brakes on like every other project.
Yeah.
Through big names and all these things, and it's like, we're doing this quirky musical thing. Isn't that going to be fun? It's like, wait, is that based on that TV show from 4 years ago? Like, yes. Like, what do you do?
You heard it here first. Marvel MCU Phase 7 ends with Avengers: Atlantis attacks.
Freaking better.
And it's going to be all about the Elder Gods and blue and pink aliens from the beneath the waves.
I want a Tuma with the dumb like shell head like crown and everything. Like, let's
Serpent crown, baby.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's get into it.
No, they're going to have Namor, who loves no more. That's going to be great.
Yes,
Namor.
He loves no more. No more.
No more of this.
So I want to shift gears real quick, because Todd brought up a good point when you guys were talking about gods and Jonathan Hickman stuff and being so dense and reading better in one chunk. The Jeff Johns JSA book that is wrapping up in 2 months, because the last issue, the number 11, just came out. That book has so many different moving parts. And I swear to God, Brian, you can back me up, because I'm sure. Well, have you read it yet? I don't know. I know you're a little.
I have not read the most recent issue, but I'm up to date otherwise.
Number 11, and no spoilers for plot points. The plot is literally explained in narration. Like, the entire wrap up of everything that's happened up until this point is wrapped up in narration,
just like the Acolyte.
So that they can have a last issue send off, and the final, like, everything about the Huntress and Mordru dressed as Pharaoh Lad with the Legion ring, like all of that shit. It was like a montage, a speed run, and it ends, on a nice, everything's all wrapped up in a bow, and it's like,
are they doing this because it got canceled and he thought he would have more time to tell the story?
I don't know. I really don't know, because it's funny just to think that it would have been canceled, considering I think replaced might be a better way to look at it.
So there's a new
DC
book?
Was like, this is not sustainable. Jeff can't get it out on time, or he's getting it out on time, but it's too out there. And they want a traditional monthly JSA team book.
Well, there is a JSA like part of the DC All In, right?
Coming, yes.
Yeah, because they're
By Jeff
roommates. They're roommates on the friggin' Justice League, like satellite, whatever.
Neighbors in the space duplex.
Pardon me.
They're neighbors in the space duplex. It's a Three's Company situation.
So maybe they did just they're like, Jeff, we love you. This is great. Hurry up and end it. And he was like, fine.
I mean, 11 and 12 were supposed. So 11, they were supposed to be out probably 6 months ago. So there wasn't going to be any overlap.
Late.
Yeah,
it's super. I mean, it gets bumped. It was already like bi-monthly, and then it keeps getting kicked down the road.
That
so
sure sounds like he was like, fine.
Which
here's
I think
here's
is
the
out
end.
in I think it's the 18th or something of October. It's like around that day. Then the next one I think is November. Is the first issue of the next one. So of the Lemire series.
And it's not that I'm not enjoying it. It's just that like you launched the book. The book was immediately late. Then you said, "Okay, JK, it is bi-monthly," and everyone went fine.
Right.
And then 6 months, a year, however long went by, and then they were like, "Just kidding!" Yet again, it is a 12-issue maxi series. Well, nobody said it was a limited run. Like this was the JSA book as far as anyone was concerned.
Hasn't DC been doing this for a while now, though, where everything's in a limited series until it's a regular series, and then it's the limited series again?
I think that's more of a benchmark for the success of monthly books.
No, but my question is, why can't
Green Arrow sustain more than 6 issues?
Why can't you just go the other direction too and be like, it's not canceled. It's a 12-issue maxi series.
committing to 12 issues that takes 2 years to put out is a pretty big ask.
Yeah,
I mean that's what happens to the Kryptonian Age book. Like that is retroactively 6 issues. It was 12.
Oh, the Gotham by Gaslight.
Like it is 6 issues, and they, the sales have been. I think they knew from the start that it wasn't going to do it because Simon Bullen, the letter, probably 9 months ago or something on Twitter was like, "Hey, a job I thought was going to last a long time just ended, so let me know. Like, I'm looking for work." And then you see the book coming out, and then some of those solicitations have of 6, and some have the DC directives of 12, and then it kind of whittles, and now it's the Titanic finale of the first 6 issues.
They must have shifted a lot of stuff.
Which is a shame because that book is good.
They must have shifted a lot of stuff around.
Gotham by Gaslight book was really good.
That like when this absolute stuff popped up, and then they were like DC all in. They must have just been like, all right, wait, let's shift it. Just like we got to steer in this direction now. And a lot of people went, all right, fine, I'm done. Thanks, appreciate it. But whatever. I'm still looking forward to All In. I'm looking forward to this absolute stuff to see what it is. It does kind of suck that something's got truncated, but let's be real. I don't think Jeff Johns can put out a monthly book. I don't think he can. Not anymore.
Well, he can, but he's busy doing it with his own stuff in a different company.
Yeah, it's fair prioritizing. Enough. Yeah, those books, Rook and all those other ones at Image are coming out pretty quickly. So
he also had those in the Rook can. But
like Redcoat's already on number 5.
Yeah, but I think they had those in the can for a long time too. I think those were ready to go. So we'll see if he can maintain that.
Well, I mean, they've all been considering they're drawn by Brian Hitch. I think you're probably right. But
yeah, but they've all been fun. I've really enjoyed. I've kept up with Redcoat. I've kept up with Rook.
I think the Ghost Machine books are very good.
Yeah, they're solid, man. They're really good, and good for him. And look, I don't need to be perfectly honest. Jeff Johns did some amazing stuff at DC. I absolutely loved it, but his output for the past, I don't even know how many years, 10 years, I have been fine with. It's been fine. Some of it I have not cared for at all. The 3 Jokers thing, I don't even like talking about it. It makes me so uncomfortable. Like, what do we do?
Yeah, it's a bummer of a book.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah. So whatever. That's fine. I think Lemire getting a shot at this stuff. Yeah, give Jeff Lemire a shot at the JSA. Let's go.
All right. So switching gears yet again, or at least shifting back, John shared a link in the chat that kind of explains how Lanterns connects to the DCU. It is part of Gods and Monsters, according to this article. This is the simultaneously the dumbest, most corporate, confusing bullshit sentence ever. While initially developed as a Max original, Lanterns is now an HBO original.
Okay, you know what that is, Joe Patrick?
And all that means is that they're going to air it on cable first, and then it'll be on the stream.
Joe, let me help you here. You know what that is? That's AI combing through a bunch of information, trying to let you know all the stuff you need to know about this story. That's what this is.
No, I mean, this is an accurate sentence, though, because it's airing on cable.
Not
it's
saying
airing
it's not.
actually on HBO first.
I'm saying anyone who is writing this as a human being in their right mind would not write that. Okay? A robot wrote that. Okay.
It says season 1 will consist of 8 episodes. Lanterns will be heavily influenced by True Detective, focusing on a mystery that Hal and John will have to investigate on Earth. Hal is depicted as a lantern legend, and John is imagined as a new recruit. So it implies an age difference. And then it says, Gunn has made it clear that the quote-unquote ancient horror described in the synopsis will be a story that connects to other DC Universe movies and TV shows, meaning lanterns will serve as a crucial part of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. So there you have it.
Well, yeah, definitely. But like nothing about a Guy Gardner crossing over to this or anything like that yet, so I don't know.
No, but it also doesn't actually say that like Hal's going to be like an old detective. It's just going to be that Hal's going to be the legendary Hal Jordan, which he is. Like that's the character.
Fair enough. So I don't know. And we should stress that this stuff with Brolin is all still rumor. We don't know anything. But typically when rumors, and Taverdic pointed this out too in the chat, when these rumors come up, if they're complete BS, James Gunn is the first person to be like, no, that's not.
He has not refuted it.
Yeah. And he hasn't said anything. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe. And Brolin, he looks good in his skin.
Also, has he seen it? You know,
I'll bet he's seen it.
But the other point, though, is that exactly. I'm pretty sure he has.
He's seen it.
But the other rumors that, and this is also the same source, so who knows? Take this with a grain of salt. The other people that are saying that might have been in the run-in was Ewan McGregor.
No.
Yeah, Obi-Wan.
No.
God damn it! I just forgot the other guy.
I like McGregor, but no,
he was the other guy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
I don't want
you. There's a lot of talk about Glenn Powell.
No,
and there's a lot of rumors going around about him being Batman.
No.
I'm done with the Glenn Powelling. I'm over it. Okay. Now I will say, Twisters. It was kind of fun. It was not a good movie. There was barely a plot, but by the end of it, I went, I don't know, that was kind of fun. But I'm done with the Glenn Powelling. I'm over it.
Glenn Powell was a Scientologist. I said, oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
God.
No, he's in the cult.
Why is this guy ever?
Sounds like a movie he would make.
He's a Scientologist. Okay, I get it. That's why they're pushing him and everything, because that's what they do. So there you go.
He is walking directly in Tom Cruise's footsteps, and he admits it. He says, I want to be Tom Cruise, which I get it. Tom Cruise is a very rich, powerful, talented actor, of course. And reportedly, super nice guy to work with, which is great. He just happens to think that aliens created life on Earth, and he's gay and he can't come to grips with that. But whatever, like that's not a problem. That's his battle to fight.
Glenn Powell couldn't have made Mission Impossible 2. I know that.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I just heard the same Scientology rumor about the new lead singer for Linkin Park too. So
yeah, I was reading all about that.
I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum here, but who gives a shit? Like Linkin Park? Really?
They did that time with Jay-Z 25 years ago. Remember that? That was cool.
Oh, no, don't say it. God.
My apology is still a thing.
But Glenn Powell, no. I don't know. There's plenty of people that could pull off a Hal Jordan. I don't know. I would rather it's almost somebody that's not as well known that you can do something with, so there isn't all that baggage that comes in with certain actors and whatnot. And I'm not saying they all do it, but I think a lot of actors, when we get upset later, or even when we first see a film, it's because they brought their own I'm this actor to the role, right? And I'm not saying that Hal is a character we all have in our head and brings a lot of baggage with him, but I would like to just kind of see somebody that can become that character without any other bullshit,
Well, that was one of the problems. I mean, there were 1,000 problems, but one of the problems with the actual Green Lantern movie was that's Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
It's not Hal Jordan, he's
the first to admit it.
Yeah, no, it's very bad, and that's one of the things. But they should cast Christopher Maloney as Hal Jordan. Let's do it. You need a grizzled cop? I got him for you.
Oh fuck yeah!
On Glenn Powell,
A pretty boy to him too. Yeah, that could work.
guys, Twisters was a better movie than it had any business being.
I agree. Because if you read the script, it doesn't make any sense. You can obviously tell where they wanted Helen Hunt to be like mom in there, but then they just had to switch gears because Helen Hunt was like, nah, I'm out. And they're like, oh, fuck it. Leave those scenes anyway. And like, they even have the machine. They have the machine from the first Twister. No explanation as to why. It's so weird. But by the end, I was like, hey, that wasn't bad. You know? It ends with like, oh God, I'm spoiling Twisters. Okay, here we go. Spoiler for Twisters.
Yeah,
No, heaven forbid.
Spoiler. Oh, this is a kind of spoiler where you'd be mad when you actually saw it anyway. So they're like, all right, we chased the tornadoes. We did the thing. It's like, it's time for me and an obvious love interest girl to go our separate ways. And they do. And then that's not enough for Glenn Powell. He's gotta like go after her, because when you love something, you chase it.
Oh no, that could go wrong. So
You touched my sting. Freeze frame.
Yeah, just like, I stood up and just like walked out of the room, and my palms were sweating. I was just like, I feel gross.
Yeah, that message might be problematic, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt.
You know what? Twisters told me never take no for an answer. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
No, Twisters told me that Glenn Powell wants to fuck a tornado.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Hey man, who doesn't?
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Like the Matt Hardy song, right? Like a tornado. It's just like
All right.
Just for what it's worth, the internet says Glenn Powell is not a Scientologist. Like, you don't have to like him.
They all say that until they are, Joe.
I'm saying his hero worship of Tom Cruise is problematic.
They all say it until they are, you know. So his acting is what Taylor Swift's music sounds like, just buzzing white noise. I agree. Like, there's nothing wrong with Glenn Powell. There's nothing wrong with him.
I think that Glenn Powell is a fine, cocky, like.
I've never left a film and be like, man, he Glenn Powelled the shit out of that. You know,
he's Hal Jordan. He's Hal Jordan if Hal Jordan was an actor, not a test pilot.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I totally forgot what else I wanted to talk about. The power fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to put the brakes on everything.
The
but
power fantasy.
We needed help. We needed to get away from Scientology.
Yeah.
Or they might find us, and they might find us and hurt us.
They're knocking on my door right now.
You guys' review of Power Fantasy 1 was awesome, and I totally agree with you. I feel like it's one of the best new Image comics coming out.
It's
I know
amazing.
I'm prone to hyperbole, but to me, I feel like it's Kieran's Magnus, his like
Magnum
culmination
opus.
work.
Yeah.
Magnum opus.
Yes.
And I think it has the potential to be the next saga as far as like popularity and as far as like scale of work.
It's pretty amazing, and it was really well received.
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt after what Kieran Gillen went through with the the slow death of X-Men and everything, and the Krakoan shit.
Yeah.
It's good to see him just come back and be like, hey, don't worry about me. I still got it. Right.
And the thing that I find really appealing about this book is I feel like power fantasy is, to steal a phrase from Chappell Roan, it's your comic creator's favorite comic.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the industry is like, yeah, you got to read Kieran's new book.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Well, it's a comic shop
all
nerds
looking at
comic
it.
too. Like all the nerds at the comic store are like, buy this.
Mhm.
Because otherwise you're just
totally.
going to walk by and be like, oh, it's another Image book. And like, okay, Kieran Gillen. Yeah, I guess he's good. But they'll wait. And then 6 months from now, they'll be like, I can't find issue 1 anywhere. Yeah, dork, you waited,
It's the first single issue book that I've put on a hold list in a comic book store since I was in high school.
It's really good. Yeah.
Wow.
It's excellent. Guys, I got to jump.
Yeah.
I got stuff I got to get done.
I do too. My body is revolting. I've had to mute myself like 4 times because
Joe,
too much talk.
We've thought your body's been revolting.
Your body's not revolting.
We found your body revolting for years, Joe.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
This is a good place to
so
stop.
just a heads up, like